Welcome to the show that looks at truth, fiction, and reality with a smirk. I'm Aaron Peterson.
I'm Amanda Sink.
And I'm Zach Parkerson.
And welcome back to SMIRK. Every other week, one of our hosts introduces an original story, which we then use as a springboard for a spirited and lighthearted discussion, whatever the moral or theme is. This is our second to last episode of season 4. We're going to take a hiatus after the next episode, so get ready. Strap in.
I'm strapped.
Be careful. That means something different these days. Tread lightly. Tread lightly. Dicey topics.
I'm treaded? Is that a thing?
That's better.
Do we say that?
I think. Yeah.
Cute little green lantern mug you got there that nobody can see, but at least I can
podcast, famously a visual medium.
Is the story you have today about Green Lantern?
No.
Oh, I thought maybe you were getting in character and theme.
What are you talking about?
Like if he was going to do a story that was like superhero or Green Lantern related, he might like get out his fancy mug.
So if I have a coffee mug that says, I like squirrels, my story's definitely going to be about squirrels?
It's just a question.
I would love if you had a mug that said I like squirrels. Not even love squirrels, but I like squirrels.
I'm going to buy one.
Squirrels are okay.
They're my favorite.
As long as it's not skunks.
You know
My
who I don't
dog
like
got
are
skunked.
rabbits. I don't like rabbits.
They're cute, but not in your backyard.
I don't know. Only rich people have yards.
They are eating... What?
That's something my mother told me growing up. She said only rich people have yards.
I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah,
She's not wrong.
It's a bad sales pitch, I think.
I think I've only met people with houses that have more money than people with apartments generally. Just saying.
Doesn't mean they're rich. That could mean that they're just better with balancing a checkbook.
I think that, if you're better at balancing a checkbook, odds are you're rich.
Or you're better with money.
Because you're rich.
Renting an apartment is generally more costly than just owning a home.
Are we doing this? Is this a whole different? Are we doing a whole episode of SMIRK now?
I think so. I think we're just going to talk about the mortgage crisis. Let's get into it.
Can we talk about this ridiculous housing market? Because, man, it is tough out here.
Everybody got those simmies.
That is probably what a big part of it is. Everybody got their stimulus check and be like, time for a house. Couldn't afford it before. Now I can.
If you have any collectible comics you've been waiting to sell, now is the time.
Oh, well, all 3 people listening with those, get on it.
Tell you what, people need to make rent.
Hey, I got to see some cool comics at the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry because they had the Marvel exhibit. So they had the first comic there.
The first timely comic?
From Marvel.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Which was what?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look through.
Thanks for that enlightening story. That was great. I'm glad you shared that. You know, they had the first ever comic, but I have no idea what it was because I didn't look at it with my own eyes.
I was there from a photography standpoint. I was there to take pictures of all of it. And they had like all of the costumes from the movies of the characters. So they had like designated sections. You guys would appreciate this. There was a whole thing devoted to Spider-Man. Spider-Man was actually, they have like a statue of him upside down, like the traditional Mary Jane kissing his face upside down. And so you could go over there and stand with him and take pictures. And then
Did you kiss him?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't touch him though, because you're not supposed to touch him, but I made it look like
COVID.
it. Yeah.
I mean, he's wearing a mask. What's the problem?
Hold on. But what I was going to say is you guys would really appreciate that they had, of all of the Spider-Man movies, they had the Spider-Man designated poster was from the 2003 Spider-Man.
2002, but you're close.
2002, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so the right one.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is the correct one.
Okay, as long as it's the right one.
I thought that was cool.
Well, you know, I mean, they did have about 1,200 guesses about which one would have been the right one.
That's fair. As long as it's not Tom Holland, we're all good. That's all I care about. Yeah, I said it.
Hey, he's great. He's in bad movies.
Stories.
Sure.
He's in bad movies.
We got other stuff to talk about. Hey, you know what? It's your week, Zach. So do you have a story for us, a short story that you've written that we can discuss afterward excitedly?
Well, wow. That's really setting it up for failure, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's short. And I think it's technically a story.
Okay.
This is promising.
Fascinated. Did you just write this like right now while we were talking about Spider-Man? You're like, oh, crap, I really forgot to write something.
Yeah, the word thwip is used 12 times.
That's a good, it's a good word.
That's
I like
the whole
it.
Story.
Thwip, thwip.
Thwip, thwip, thwip. With great power, thwip, thwip. Comes
thwip and responsibility. You mother thwipper.
That's cute.
Is it?
Yeah, I got a story though, but it is. So I guess you can gather around the campfire. It's time for a story. Trevor was nervous as hell, but he had to admit he was pretty excited too. He'd been looking forward to this movie for a long, long time now. In many ways, it felt like his whole life was building up to it. It was the end of a saga, and he thought he could pretty well guess what would happen. It tempered his excitement none at all. He scooped up his best friend Chris, and they got to the theater early, disgustingly early, hours and hours early. In fact, these two kids were the first in line for the movie. Barely had enough money for tickets, and they had to beg Trevor's mom for a ride to this midnight showing. Bless her heart, she was even going to pick them up. But they got in, got their seats, and were surrounded by hundreds of like-minded folks. It was everything Trevor wanted. The movie was perfect. He and Chris discussed it for hours to come. Each narrative beat, whether they had guessed correctly, and had disappointments and getting theories wrong. It was a lot of fun. But as he started falling asleep, a creeping thought entered his mind. This was it, the end of the story. He had nothing left to look forward to from his favorite franchise. It was a bittersweet ending, a satisfying finale, but with nothing else on the horizon. What could ever fill the void?
Wow, you weren't kidding about Short.
No, yeah, Short.
Wow, so you just wanted to take us back to movie theaters and make us all sad again because they're not really open still.
They're mostly open.
You've been to theaters.
Yeah, but not like I used to go to theater. Not where there was like, not like you're describing. Where
there's
excited.
Actual people there.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's applauding when Cap throws a shield or whatever.
Applauding? I don't know if that's the way you word that.
Applauding?
There, I think that's better.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. Yeah. You know what, guys? We're talking here. Let's just talk. You don't have to cut me down every second you get.
It's not like a writing short story podcast or anything. I mean,
right. So the writing should be good. I don't promise the talking's good. What do you guys think the moral of the story is?
Well, I'm trying to think because it feels like there's an element of like just the joy of going to the movie theater and how deeply impacted people can be by stories. I don't know.
I think it's more what happens when you get to the end.
That's better.
Yeah. It's pretty close. All good things must come to an end. What a cliche.
Well, not if you're Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, Pirates of the Caribbean.
I'm glad you started with that right away, because my first question is, what do you think of this current era we live in of the continuous story? Because I don't think anything ends, right? I mean...
That does remove the stakes in a lot of situations. In movies and TV shows, especially if it's already been renewed, like a TV show, it's already been renewed for a second, or they've already announced a second movie. It kind of takes away from the stakes in the film. And it's also really hard for me to buy in to something actually ending. Like, even with the end of the MCU films, I'm like, this is not really the end. And we all kind of knew that.
Right, but imagine if it was. How impactful that whole franchise would be for eternity.
Right, yeah, no, for sure. For sure.
I am of two minds because I think if people enjoy things, let them have it. I know a lot of people are like, why do they still make Transformers movies? Because people like them. If they like them, well, who am I to say that they shouldn't get them? That's just how things are. And it's not like it's a new thing. Books have been doing it for years. I love Jack Reacher. There's like 40 books. Sherlock Holmes had a ton. There's a lot of things out there where they just keep going. They keep chugging along. Agatha Christie was doing it eons ago. Like, there are just characters that really stick with people. They just love the characters. They love the world. They love whatever it is, and they just want more and more and more. So I'm okay with that. But of the other mind, I also think sometimes it would be more impactful if things actually did have stakes and did end. So, I get why they keep going, but yes, I do wish that they would stop sometimes.
I do think that we're in a different era, though, where it's not it's not segmented. Like, it's not a particular pocket of things that find ways to continue the story. I mean, it's just pretty much everything. Now, you could say there are some shows that get canceled on Netflix, and so then those stories don't continue and all of that. But I feel like for the most part, it's more rare for a conclusive ending to occur at the helm of showrunners or filmmakers, because they know that they can keep making money and they're going to do it. And I feel like that's the period we're in, where it's the norm for things to not end.
Well, I think we're in the period where originality doesn't make as much money, so they go to name recognition, brand recognition. It's all about brand. That's why you see so many old things coming back.
Yeah.
But in the same token, books have done that for years. You know, it's not a huge surprise that we are in that world, because they've got so much money in film and television, and a lot of that money is borrowed. I mean, if you really know how the business works, they don't actually, I mean, they're borrowing a lot. They're always on credit, and they want a return on investment, and that's the stuff that pays off in huge dividends. So why wouldn't you just keep chugging away?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if books is a fair analogy to, like, say, movies, because, and I guess I did mostly think about movies when I wrote this, because books are so comparatively cheap to make, and they have to reach so many fewer people to make a financial difference.
That's fair.
And I guess fan fiction has lasted forever, but film is so costly, and unlike, I would say, books or comics or video games or other mediums, everybody watches movies.
That's true. It is one of the most accepted of forms.
Right. I think it's so digestible, right? Because you get a story in 2 hours or so. Sometimes I do wish we could get a break from these stories, right? You know, Ben Affleck was just Batman, and we're already getting a Robert Pattinson Batman. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that was like 4 years ago. But to be fair, Batman gets turned around about every 2 years.
Yeah. He and Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, Warner Brothers needs that money, and they know that that's their biggest comic book cash cow, and he always brings something. So cash-wise, so they go for Batman.
Right, or take the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Could we not?
Right. See, like, I don't really know anybody's clamoring for those, but they still. I mean, I guess people go watch them, but they do it out of obligation to the Harry Potter brand more than anything. But, like, imagine if we hadn't gotten anything Harry Potter. I feel like those 8 movies would be more fondly and constantly discussed. You know, if it was all you had.
In some ways, it still feels like that's all we've had.
I don't know.
Shots fired.
You had a second movie with 2.5 hours of nothing but setup. Come on, isn't that a good time?
I just mean, like, even for Fantastic Beasts, it feels so removed from the Harry Potter world. It doesn't feel like, I cognitively know that they're connected, but I don't feel like they are. But I don't know. I would like more properties to try and take chances on ending things. I mean, even Game of Thrones, that's a show that was completely built around stakes, and you could not guarantee if a character was going to live. Like, you could expect some big characters to die. And then the show concluded, and we knew it would conclude, and it was like, okay, we're going to get spin-off shows. So does that property really end? Not really.
That's a different kind of continuation, though, because the story ended. It's a different story they're going to tell. So it's not like, it's not like X-Files coming back 10 years
That's
after
true.
It left the air. It's not like Will and Grace coming back for some reason. It's not like all these other things that just keep coming back just because they have a name on them.
No, what I think Amanda is right. It kind of removes the excitement of it being the end of season 8. Sure, those characters are going away, but it does feel a little half-hearted when you know there's more coming. Well, I think Star Wars is the perfect embodiment of what we're talking about here, right? Because after 83, you had nothing outside of, some books and games and whatnot until the prequels in 99. And
Wait, were there books? I don't think there were books. I don't think we're allowed to mention that there were books. I believe it's against the law, actually.
Okay, there are no books.
It's against What's-Her-Face's law.
Kathleen Kennedy?
Yeah, Kennedy, that lady.
Oh, yes, yeah, well, yeah. That's a whole painful topic. Anyway, but then, the prequel started in 99 and ran until 2005, and even though most people hated each one of those, it seemed like you still went and saw them because they all felt special because you didn't get Star Wars very often. Now Star Wars happens doesn't feel special. You know, it's TV shows, movies, all this stuff.
It's a lot. You're bombarded with Star Wars. It's almost like there's too much Star Wars.
Well, let's not get carried away.
I do not get excited about Star Wars anymore.
Yeah, but you used to, didn't you?
I used to get giddy about it. I used to love Star Wars, but now I'm like, oh, cool. And I don't get excited about Marvel stuff anymore either because there's so much of it. There's just like, everybody's freaking out. Falcon and the Winter Soldier's on. I'm like, okay, cool, man. I mean, I'd rather watch Falcon and the Snowman, I guess.
I can't really
old Sean Penn. Why not
believe those reactions to things anymore?
Because they're always the best thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, well, yeah. It feels like it's a competition to see who's the most excited about something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
except for WandaVision.
Well, I thought WandaVision was great.
It was great. It was unique. It was different.
It
gave light to a character that they had otherwise just pushed to the side.
Man, you've got a whole show for this. We don't need to rehash WandaVision.
I'm just saying.
We're talking about Marvel.
Outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, WandaVision is probably my favorite thing the Marvel MCU's done.
Bless your heart. Not in a bad way.
That show's great.
I say bless your heart in the bad way.
That's usually how it is said.
Bless your face. Yeah. I mean, but speaking of these ridiculous online reactions, like, do you think is the industry too reliant on brands at this point, or do you
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
well, yeah? Well, you guys have you guys are on a movie podcast, so I guess I am kind of curious about your interpretation. Do you think are the brands just there because it's easy money, or do you really think that do these studios think they couldn't survive without them, or like are they using that excuse?
It's easy money. I don't know if I wouldn't say easy money. It's bankable
convenient.
Money. They can count on it.
Reliable.
Reliable. Yeah. There you go. That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically like if you've got your cousin Donnie and he's rich, and every time you go over to cousin Donnie's house, he gives you like $100, and you get to go out and spend that $100. You're gonna always go to Uncle Donnie's house because he's your favorite uncle or cousin, right. Whatever the hell he is. And if you always go to cousin Carol's house and she never gives you anything, you're not going to go to her house anymore. You're just going to tell, sorry, Carol, you're stuck up. You're
or
rich.
She only gives $20 or something.
Say, a better analogy.
It's not that there's none.
She gives you $10.
Yeah.
But Donnie gives you $100?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, then you definitely go to Donnie's house. I want to go to Donnie's house. Sounds like the best cousin ever.
Sure. Well, unless the conversation's better at Aunt Carol's house. You know, that might be worth it.
No, I don't really care. As long as Donnie's keeping his hands to himself, I'm good with going to his house. You know?
Well, if there's an extra $100, he can do whatever he wants.
You know what? If there's like 200, I'd be like, all right. I mean, I'll go pantsless. Why not?
Oh my God. Okay, different topic.
No,
anyway.
Skinny dipping.
Yeah, he's got that lake out back, you know. Jeez. Uncle Donnie.
Stop making it weird, Amanda.
Yeah, I'm the one who's making it weird. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we're all going to agree on that, huh?
I guess the cops are coming for me.
I think that it's also a component of it is also it's cheaper to go the brand recognition route. Your marketing doesn't have to be as heavy. You don't have to pay for as many writers because a lot of that content I feel like is more, you already have a basis to start with. So you probably don't need to hire as many writers to talk about how this is going to work and it being innovative and unique because you kind of already have people sold. So you just have to do something small. That's my thought.
I don't know if that's accurate because I think they still spend a fortune on marketing and they still have 12 writers. But you're probably right that they don't need to. They just do, especially when you see the product. And like, really, it took 12 of you to come up with that? I don't understand how that worked, but okay.
That's how you get something in the middle of the road, though, is with 12 writers, right?
True. Yeah, you don't have one vision.
Right, you just got people just trying to... Everybody's punching to the middle. Lowest common denominator. I told you guys, words are tricky right now. Yeah, it just kind of sucks, man.
Do you get excited for Star Wars anymore? Because you're like a big Star Wars junkie.
I do, but not for some stuff. It's funny because I think the fan base takes the wins out of my sails more than anything the corporate could do. Because people are so annoying because everything, every episode of The Mandalorian is the greatest piece of television ever written.
Which is funny because nothing ever happens. It's literally a Western every week.
So is a part of it that it's too mainstream then? Because it doesn't sound like it's the quantity of Star Wars you're getting. It sounds like it's a little bit more, it's become, there are other people that are annoying you that are obsessed with it in a different way, and it doesn't feel authentic to just loving Star Wars. It's just about talking about Star Wars.
I don't know if mainstream's the right word, but because especially Star Wars, I think, has been mainstream for most of my lifetime. I think as soon as Phantom Menace came, it never really left.
But it's different because if you're a fan of Star Wars today, you're cool and you fit in. If you were a fan of Star Wars even 15 years ago, you were a nerd and a weirdo.
Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, that's true of most geek stuff. But I'm saying the fan base doesn't annoy me because of its quantity. The fan base annoys me for the same reason the Marvel or even the DC fan base. Everyone's screaming online about how much they love something, and there's no room for any critical conversation at all. You know, even you know, I'm a DC shill for sure, but Steppenwolf looks stupid in both versions of Justice League. But you got all these people out here saying how awesome Steppenwolf looks. He doesn't. He looks dumb.
I think when you're comparing it to the original,
well, yeah, sure.
Better.
Anything's a
massive improvement.
Well, yes, as is everything.
I like it. He doesn't disappoint me this time. The first one was laughable.
It is what it is. Regardless, I think it's the way people interact as fans more than anything. When you talk to somebody face to face, they tend to act like normal freaking people. So,
well, yeah, the anonymity of, you know, keyboard warriors. You can say whatever you want, and then you get, and I think it's every fan base anymore. I used to think it was just Star Wars or just the Snyder Bros or just whatever, but Harry Potter fans or whatever. Now it's just everything. Everything is so, you have to like this or that. There's no in between. There's no room for dissection. There's no room for actually looking at the substance of anything. There's no room for anything except this or that in every venue. Politics, entertainment, everything. Sports, literally. You have to be on one side or another.
And it's always got to be, you have to be in 100%. You can't just be in 70%.
Right. I kind of like that thing. Oh, so you hated it? No, I said I liked it. Oh, well, didn't sound like you liked it. Because I didn't, you know, piss myself talking about it. I don't understand. What does it take for me to
This is a little too topical for you right now.
Uh-oh. What is the topic? Why is it in my head?
Oh, he just received some death threats because he thought something was average.
No, I wasn't even talking about that. I just mean in
general. I know, I'm just saying
oh.
It's funny that you're saying that because it just reminds me of how you received literal death threats.
Is this your first death threat?
Because
No,
because you thought something was like a 5 out of 10, and I think that's a true representation of how extreme people are about properties. And I mean, that wasn't even a property that was significant, in my opinion. It was something small. So people really go to the extra mile with like telling people to off themselves if they don't like something. And it's like, what? I'm sorry. I thought we could all appreciate different pieces of art for different reasons.
Now I kind of want to compare death threats.
Let's stop saying everything's art. That's first of all. Like, Star Wars is great, but would I call it art? No, probably not.
I think the original trilogy has an argument.
The original trilogy, and then you can go visually with the next trilogy. But overall, like anymore, now it's just product.
Yeah. Product's a good word for it, man.
And it sells. People love it, and that's fine. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's product. Like, they're making it. It's Pepsi now. Pepsi and Coke. That's all it is.
Yuck. Pepsi is gross.
That's a really depressing way to put it, though. That they're just products to be consumed and move on with your life.
It's true.
Yeah.
Everything is a product, basically. Even we are anymore.
Wow, that's deep, man. Well, anyway, do you think a story concluding or continuing forever provides a fan base with more conversation?
With more conversation? What?
More or better? Because I feel like I have different answers based on that.
I think better is an easy answer, right?
I think concluding gives you better conversation because ongoing, it just never stops, and it's the same arguments over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. When something ends, like Game of Thrones ended, Lost ended, people are still talking about it years later.
Yeah, Lost is a great example. I still talk about people. Lost comes up often in my day-to-day life, and the conversations are intriguing because you only have the specific thing to talk about. There's no extra material. There's
one point of reference.
Yeah,
and so you're getting more authentic thinking responses because people have to take that and interpret it however they see it and however they view it. It's not, okay, well, we got this extra material, which then provides support for my argument sort of thing. which happens when you continue to add on to properties. They look at that and they say, oh, this was an argument, so let's just continue to perpetuate the fires here and provide more so people continue talking about the same argument. But with Lost, which is probably the best example, it's something that just ended and it continues to be a point of conversation for people. And they can only say they have that TV show to go by.
Yeah, when you have more of it, if they did a Lost spinoff, you'd have a different set of writers, most likely, different team who might have a certain perspective on it, and then
exactly.
It gives certain fans more fuel to their fire. But then the next spinoff comes out and they have the perspective you have. So now you guys have like all this stuff to war over. But if you just have the original product, then you just have those that's your only point of reference, as you said.
I mean, you had that one video game, that crappy video game that they had.
They had a video game?
Yeah, it was not great. The story was actually kind of cool, but it was not a great game. And it was, but it was canon, I think.
It was temporarily canon.
What?
Did they retract the canon?
They retracted the canon, idea. Which was lame because it thought...
How do you retract the canon? Well, I guess Star Wars did it.
So, yeah, well, you could just be like, second thought,
Kennedy.
That game doesn't count. No, but the game infuriated me because I thought I had a leg up on everybody. I'm like, well, this is actually what happens if you try to leave the island. They answered this already in the game.
Ah.
And then they answered it in the show a different way. And I'm like, well, that's not cool.
Well, what was the game response? So what was the findings? Because I've never heard of this. Now I'm curious.
Oh, in Lost Via Domus, it ends with your character finally. He gets his own boat off the island with the help of characters from the show because it's canon. But what happens is once you reach a certain point, you wake up back on the island.
Oh, wow. So you can... okay.
You can never leave.
So it's very different.
Yeah,
feels like purgatory,
I actually
right?
really like that.
Yeah, really. Well, Len's kind of into the purgatory idea, but yeah. I guess... But they was sold as canon, and it had all the right, Lindelof and Cuse were on the game and everything, and then they just were like, actually, on second thought, what a bunch of
we can't
punks.
use purgatory. We're gonna go a different way. So,
right. Yeah, good show. Well, hey, speaking of Lost, what are some of your guys' favorite endings to things?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad did have an awesome ending. Did it really end though?
One day I'm going to see it.
That's another question.
Yeah, it did.
You haven't seen it?
I've never seen the last season of Breaking Bad.
Wait,
what?
You got all the way through the fourth season and then you stopped?
In fact, I watched season 5, episode 1, but then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I honestly don't want to do this weekly, and I don't want to wait the year gap between parts 1 and 2. I'll wait till it's done and I'll watch it.
It's been on Netflix for like 4 years now.
And then I never did. So
okay,
yeah.
So now you have homework.
So if people spoil the ending of Breaking Bad, I am not allowed to get mad. Of course.
True. That's on you. That's on you.
You have 1 year until something is over, and then it's on you.
You really need to get on that. So yeah, Breaking Bad is a great one, despite the fact that there was a spinoff and then eventually a movie.
Oh, yeah. That movie really came and went, huh?
That movie wasn't pertaining to Walter White, though. That was different.
No, yeah, but it still connected.
Yeah, it connected, but it wasn't like... Yeah, it's not needed. I really would never watch it again. Game of Thrones, for sure. I love the ending there. I know many people hate it. I don't care what you think. I loved it. And... Battlestar Galactica gets a lot of flack, but I kind of like the ending of Battlestar Galactica. But
Harry Potter.
Just because it's weird. The series? The movies?
The movies, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because in the last one, he finally did something.
He did stuff. He was a true corporate leader. He just had people do stuff for him. He was the strategy.
Great delegator.
Yeah, great delegator. The mark of a true leader.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, Indiana Jones had a great one, and then they made a fourth movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, then they made that one.
I was going to say, Indiana Jones did. Absolutely.
Serenity, as much as people say that wasn't they wish they would have got more, but I think Serenity was a great ending to Firefly. So,
I mean, it wrapped up the major mysteries.
Yeah, wrapped up everything. So
pretty deftly. I know we're not allowed to talk about anything from that creator anymore.
Well, but good luck, because I'm going to get that out all the time. I'm pretty happy with it.
Serenity was great.
Logan's another great example. There's a lot of stuff that ended great.
You guess it's kind of like a pseudo ending.
Oh, it was great. I loved it. Went dark. Finally went completely Wolverine.
Yeah, I still think the Wolverine's a better movie.
The Dark Knight Rises.
No, not giving you that one.
Okay,
I'll give it to you.
Thanks.
Great ending.
Is it though? That movie wasn't great.
Yeah, I think Lost is a tremendous ending.
Oh boy.
I love the... well, yeah, but then there are movies, but I love the ending of Psych.
I mean, of course, the MCU.
You know what's funny about Psych is that whole last season isn't great. It isn't very good, but that last episode is great.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you anything that happened in the last season other than the phenomenal ending.
There's even one episode before it where it's one of those horror-themed ones. It's like a Nightmare on Elm Street play, and it's really bad. Like, it's probably the only episode of Psych besides one Christmas episode where I will never watch it again.
Yeah.
Toy Story, if it stopped at 3, because I bawled like a baby. Not that I didn't like the 4th one, but I bawled like a baby in the 3rd, and that was so solid for me.
See, it's sad. It's sad. I feel like all of our answers have but the if.
But then, yeah.
Right. That's because why I didn't throw Endgame in there.
Yeah, Endgame, or I love I think episode 9 wraps up the Skywalker saga beautifully, but they're gonna make 1,000 more Star Wars movies.
But are they making any more Skywalker sagas?
I don't know. Is that enough to differentiate it? You know,
I don't even know.
Lord of the Rings, if they would have stopped at a particular point.
Well, if we keep saying if,
yeah.
then these aren't counting.
I think Star Wars had a great ending 3 times with episode 6, episode 3, and episode 9. So how about that? Lord of the Rings. I don't care about what came afterwards. The Lord of the Rings ended there, and it was magical. You do have to hit the stop button about 10 minutes early.
Yep.
But it is perfect.
Just pretend you got Tourette's.
And
with a remote.
The Lord of the Rings is kind of a weird example where everyone always talks about Lord of the Rings trilogy and they just totally ignore the entire existence of the Hobbit trilogy.
Because it sucks.
Everything I keep thinking of, there's a then or a but. Like they continued the story or they brought it back in some way.
Friends. Great ending. That's never coming back.
That it is. Well, they're bringing a retro special or something.
Well, they're doing but they're just like
they're paying them $1 million just to sit in a room together. That's how ridiculous that show is. They're like, guys, we really need to get you together. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. How about $1 million each? I mean, Jennifer Aniston got to eat, so
right.
I'm in.
Perfect. I mean, those residuals. I'm sure they're doing just fine.
They're filthy rich. They're all still rich.
Yeah. Well, they've earned every penny. Gosh darn it. Because that ending was great. I just watched it recently and cried again.
I've never seen the ending.
The Sopranos?
Are you just like Googling stuff right now?
I'm trying to find things that actually ended. You can't
Google stuff. Did you actually watch The Sopranos?
Yes, I did.
The whole show?
Yes.
The whole show.
I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember the ending.
I remember watching it when I was a kid and I was like, this is a whole new world to me.
Yeah, got a plan. Plan for the future.
Yeah. It's me, boy. Massive. No, that was a terrible ending. I got nothing.
This is an interesting concept for me because
I feel like
seriously, everything that I keep thinking of, it has had some sort of continuation. So it's never really ended. Like I wanted to say Scream, but then I'm like, never mind.
But if you look pre-2010s, things did end.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
But now they're all coming back again.
That's what I'm saying. They are all coming back again because, we're all corporate slaves, as it were. But hey, do you guys think the story was true or fiction?
True.
Yeah, it was true.
It's true. Yeah.
I hate when it's obvious.
So what was the title of your story?
Finn.
Oh, like F-I-N.
F-I-N, period. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The story, it was me. I was first in line for Revenge of the Sith. Just wanted to briefly brag.
You were first in line in the world?
No, in Chesney Park. I was on the front page of the paper.
Were you really?
Yeah, my mother still has a copy of the paper.
Aw.
It's me, and then it's kind of unfortunate, my friend who is quite overweight, it's me and his stomach are in the picture.
So he'll forever look at that picture and be reminded that he's overweight.
It's pretty, I would be really mad if I were him. But for me, it's great.
First one in line! Who's the gut?
Trevor.
Who's the chunk?
That's so fun. And I used to write Star Wars fan fiction about me and my friends, and he was the bad guy, and his name was Darth Chunks.
Oh, nice.
That's mean.
He signed off on it. Okay.
Did he do the thing from the Goonies where he pulls up his shirt and he does his little stomach dance?
I worked with a guy who did that, all the time.
That's weird.
Yeah. At work, all the time.
My friend would eat pasta with his bare hands, though.
He what?
He would eat chicken Alfredo, but he would scoop it up with his hand and like dribble it into his mouth.
What?
Yeah.
What a monster.
That's what I'm saying.
Ugh.
That's why I
don't know how we got on this topic.
Anyway,
okay, so
SMIRK.
Yeah,
that's
SMIRK.
What is podcast?
Yeah, and if you like SMIRK, well, please share this episode on your social media outlets. I don't know, I just feel like rambling right now. Join the conversation by joining our Facebook group. Follow us on Twitter at SMIRK Podcast. Be sure to use the show's hashtag SMIRK. Be sure to subscribe on your podcast app of choice. Check out our website at smirkpodcast.com and come back in 2 weeks for episode 100.
As you write your own life story, always remember to tell it with a smirk.
So basically, this whole Amanda's just sitting there Googling every franchise she can think of.
I mean, it was kind of crazy though that like franchises don't end. You know, I thought that there were examples. Like when I came into this, I was like, yeah, Psych will be a great choice. You know, but now they do the movies. So there is shit don't end no more.
Monk ended. I mean, he made like a PSA, but otherwise the show ended.
You know, I don't remember the ending of Monk though, to be honest.
He caught his wife's killer.
Well, I guess he should have done that. It only took him 8 years. Jesus Christ.
Greatest detective my ass. He had the answer right there in a little box the whole time.
Well, he didn't open it. How poignant.